Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Amunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kishore Kishore, Jaya Kishore Kishore, Jaya Kishore Kishore, Jaya Kishore Kishore. Jaya Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jai Jagannath, Jaya Jai Baladev, Jaya Jai Subhadra. Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnu Padaya Paramahamsa Parivekacharya Asatarasada, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnu Padaya Paramahamsa Parivekacharya Asatarasada, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to the assembly of devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Uttara Shrimati Shri Bhakti Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachara Ishi Shesha Vahari Pasha Deshadara. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today's reading from Canto 10, chapter 43, entitled Krishna Kills the Elephant, verse 18. Hatam kupalaya pidam drishtva tav api durjayau kamso manasi api tadam vrisham advivijye nrpa. Hatam kuvalaya pidam Ishtva tavapi durjayau Kamso manasi apitadam Vrisham udvivijye nirpa Hatam kuvalaya pidam Drishtva tavapi durjayau Kamso manasi apitada Vrisham udvivijye nirpa Ayapidam Vatavapidud Somanashi apitada Hatam kuvalaya pidam Ishvatavapidurjaya Kamsavanashi apitada Vrishamudvivijaya nripa Tam kuvalaya pidam Ishvatavapidurjaya Kamsavanashi apitada Vrishamudvivijaya nripa Adam kuvalaya pidam Drishtvatavapi durjaya Kamso manashi apitada Vrisham udvijaya nirpa. Thank you for chanting the verse. We go to a word-by-word transliteration and translation, and then translation. Hatam, killed. Kuvalayapidam, the elephant Kuvalayapida. Drishtva, seeing. Tau, the two of them, Krishna and Balaram. Api, and Durjayau, invincible. Kamsaha, King Kamsa. Manasi, in his mind. Api, indeed. Tada, then. Bhrisham, exceedingly. Udvivijya, became anxious. Nirpa, O king. Parikshit. Translation of the verse. When Kamsa saw that Kuvalayapida was dead and the two brothers were invincible, he was overwhelmed with anxiety, O king. So this is a very clear cut verse and short, and there's no purport, so I was like in a little anxiety myself. Like there's no purport, so and then I texted Suval Prabhu, Krishna Archana, and there's no purport. Are you sure I'm supposed to verse? Because there's no purport, so I have to. I don't know which direction to go. So there was an anxiety on my part, but I think King Kamsa had a much bigger anxiety, and it's all about anxiety. And I guess the more misdeeds you commit, the more anxiety you have. there's a general rule, but not all the time. And and I also watched, because I wasn't sure 100%, so I also watched listened to the lecture the day before, which was on verse 17, and that was such a nice purport there. And Jai Baladev gave such a wonderful lecture yesterday, and I was like, I don't know what to talk about. The next verse, there's no purport, and he gave so many nice quotes and examples. So today I don't have a clear direction for the class. I do have some notes and just different points, and maybe at the end of the class you can give some thoughts or feedback. There's nothing really. I don't want to talk about anxiety. Okay, I think I covered that like 3 weeks ago, the 4 miseries, and why. I think that was included in the lecture. So just some thoughts about maybe a little bit in relation to verse 17, how people see God in different ways, and I just want to skip anxiety today because I'm anxious myself. So I don't want to talk about anxiety. But Sukadeva Goswami vividly tells us how different human beings, different grades of human beings saw Krishna according to their level of consciousness, of realization. And that was verse 17. Devotees may wonder, how is it possible to see Krishna as your enemy? He's so wonderful and he's the best, If you're not a devotee, it's natural. I recall my martial arts teacher years ago. He told me, listen, Ark, my legal name Ark. Listen, you cannot see your opponent through your fears. You cannot see reality as it is. This is your reality, but you cannot see your opponent through your fears. You won't be able to act, to fight efficiently. So I remember that. Sukadeva Goswami says that God is not your enemy. He is your best friend. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 4, I think even Jai Baladev might have quoted it yesterday. Krishna clearly says in the last part of the 4th verse, Adiyagyo evatra deha deha bhartam vara. That and I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, I am called Adiyagya, the Lord of Sacrifice. So He's in your heart. He's your best well-wisher. But sometimes when God becomes obstacle to our sense enjoyment, we can see Him as enemy. I give you my example from my Grihastha ashram, Grihastha life. My own kids, when they are reluctant to do homework, or they don't want to do household, the duties like pick up your clothes and do this, do that, make your bed. When they don't want to do certain things, it would be unwise on the part of the parent to let them watch TV and play games. So my own kids, when I forbid them watching the iPad or TV because they're not doing what they're supposed to do, at least at that basic level, I become their enemy. They're not happy. They're crying and they're rebellious and anger, and I'm a bad guy, if I want to raise them and then make sure they're responsible citizens in the future, I have to be tough sometimes, and and they may cry and everything, but there's not much I can do. I have to be a parent. It's a tough role sometimes. So now, if to my kids I'm an obstacle to their enjoyment, they want to play games, they want to do this, and when they see me or a mom, they're like, oh my gosh. They will ask us, okay, this is a mess over here, this is a mess, pick this up, pick that up, do that. And then when you do all these things, then you can do a little bit of, watch a little bit of TV or something. So I'm sure you get the idea. So people will see God as an obstacle to their sense enjoyment. It's not easy. Let's see. Kamsa was experiencing like mental agony, like really. One of the 4 miseries of that we touch us is the mental anxiety, and he was actually experiencing that. It's arguably the hardest misery. Because if your mind is peaceful, anything that happens on the outside can be tolerated and can be withstood. However, and if your mind is unstable and fearful, every little thing seems bring anxiety. Um, so Krishna saw Kamsa saw Krishna as his enemy, and the enemy takes away what you like. They take away your belongings, your family, your sense enjoyment, whatever that is that brings you comfort and peace. The enemy takes it away. So that's how we can see God, because we have different types of habits in the Western world. We see that the society has acquired over the centuries those habits of drinking, smoking, women hunting, and meat eating, which are when you see out of the box, these are really bad habits. When you're in that mode and you're committing those activities, it doesn't seem so bad, except at the end you suffer a lot, and maybe you ask yourself a question, why? But when you're out of the box a little bit and you see that, why are so many animals being killed? Why are people getting drunk and then the next day they suffer? Why this? Why that? Why do they do these things? And they think they're enjoying. I give you an example from my work. I work as a fitness coach, and I teach people strength training, some yoga, nutrition, all these things. So sometimes I ask my clients, if you want to lose weight, sir or lady, please don't eat for 18 hours. So when you eat at 6 p.m. When you get up in the morning at 6 a.m., drink some water and don't eat right away. Just wait. Try to fast for 18 hours and then take your first meal at around 11 or 12 o'clock. This way you burn up some toxins and body fat, and you're going to be losing weight. Eat twice a day. If you don't work out more than 3 times a week and you have an active sedentary job, there's no reason for you to eat 3 times. Something like that. So I give them the 18-hour window. Okay, try not to eat, just drink water. If you're hungry, drink water with lemon. And they say, oh, it's so hard. And they give me reports, oh, I'm so hungry, I'm so unhappy. I'm skipping my breakfast, I'm thinking about food, meditating. And they, so they're suffering. So some of them give up and some of them do not give up. And then those who give up, they say, oh, I'm sorry, I had to eat 4 times a day, 5 times a day. It's tough, I'm stressed and all this. So, and then they have vacation, and then they go on vacation to Florida, to Hawaii, wherever they go. And they go to restaurants and they eat a lot of food. They eat a lot and then not very good quality food. So they come back from vacation, they seem excited before the vacation, like, yeah, I don't have to listen to ARC, to my coach, I'll be on vacation, I'll be doing what I can to enjoy. And then when I come back, I'll get back into the diet and training. So they seem to be happy. When they come back, they're miserable. Some of them get sick while on vacation. Some of them have, food poisoning and all different types of problems. And I tell them, listen, wouldn't it be good to a little bit of moderation when you're on vacation, pick and choose, don't go wild, and still maintain your fitness goals, kind of. And they says, yeah, I think you're right, but vacation is vacation. So we can see that either way, you try to restrain your senses, you suffer, and you try to overindulge a little bit, you suffer. So which way to go? Now, I teach my people, my clients, like, listen, you have to restrain a little bit. And I don't directly quote from Bhagavad Gita to them, but Krishna says for example, in chapter 6, about Ashtanga Yoga, that's the title, Ashtanga Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, I'm sorry, a little rusty on the Gita too, unfortunately. Krishna says in chapter 17, chapter 6, verse 17, 16 through 18 actually, so I read just the English. There's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. And the next one is very important for people in general, not only for devotees, but people in general. Yukta hara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu. Yukta svapanavabdasya svaphavan bodhasya. Yoga bhavati dukhaha. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And then Krishna obviously gives us the definition of the topmost yogi, and he gives us the conclusion. But at the level of most people, they just want this principle of moderation, which will prevent us from abusing the senses and suffering later. And if our tradition, our religion, for example, Christianity doesn't have to be the Krishna conscious movement. They give us some restrictions. Not to kill, not to do this, not to eat meat on Fridays, at least how it used to be. And Christianity then changed it later. So we can eat meat. Just once a year, don't eat meat. Or maybe twice a year for holidays. But they used to be more strict. So when you already have a moderated, when you follow this principle of moderation in eating, drinking, and recreation and sleep, and your work, then it's already easier for you to follow rules of yoga, and any spiritual process, not necessarily bhakti yoga, which is, we believe it's the topmost process that gets you to the conclusion. But any authorized religion that elevates your consciousness and brings you closer to God, they have some rules, because unfortunately, we are deeply stuck in our habits. Let's face it now. When unless you're born in India, it's much easier. But from my experience, I was raised in a typical a European family, so I was not clean on the diet and all the other rules, and it was not so easy for me to adopt this lifestyle. But then, nevertheless, I was curious and desirous of getting closer to God, and I saw that Srila Prabhupada is leading by example, and just his potency and mercy, and the disciples, my Guru Maharaj, his disciple, they were taught with purity, and then encouraged me to start chanting and follow the rules. But it's not easy, Most people cannot follow the rules. They're not even being vegetarian. It's hard for them. They say, okay, once a week I have to have some meat. What to speak of other ones like gambling. I know so many people who, on vacation, they always have to go to a casino. It's like, oh, vacation, casino. We have to do some gambling, and other rules: meat, alcohol, illicit connections with women, and was the fourth one? Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and then women, So all these four regulations are very hard to follow for people in general, and many practicing devotees struggle with them as well, including myself. It's difficult sometimes, especially when the things are not going right sometimes in the material realm, and we're trying to stay focused on our spiritual taste and our practice of chanting and serving the temple, but at the same time, material things are kind of pushing, and it's hard to keep everything the way it's supposed to be. It's a challenge. Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita 18:37, the conclusion, the summary of all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita is chapter 18, verses 37 through 38. It's pretty interesting. I'm sure you all know this verse. God ultimately wants our happiness, and He introduces some moderate rules and regulations so we can get better, because we are in a diseased state of consciousness. We want to enjoy for ourselves. So here's the prescription, or like little black and white, how it works, so we can encourage others and ourselves if we have a hard time sometimes. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. The purport by Srila Prabhupada is, in the pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations to control the mind and the senses, and to concentrate the mind on the self. All these procedures are very difficult, bitter like poison, scary. But if one is successful in following the regulations and comes to the transcendental position, he begins to drink real nectar and he enjoys life. Interesting. So an example from my life, I had a very hard time anger management when I was in my late teens and early 20s. So when I met my Guru Maharaj, he recommended chanting the Maha Mantra and staying away from meat. Don't eat meat, eggs, and fish. So I right away started the 16 rounds, but I still ate some eggs, and then gradually I gave up the eggs and fish. So I noticed that when I started chanting and I stopped eating the flesh food, my anger was much lower. I'd still get angry, but it was I was able to manage it. Yeah, I got it. I'm angry, but I'm not going to swear or do this or that. I'm just angry and a certain level of anger, but not overboard. So it was easier to manage my mind and emotions and anxiety, everything, when I adopted the vegetarian diet and the process of bhakti yoga, which the foremost point is the most important, the core of the bhakti yoga is chanting the holy names. So Srila Prabhupada and the purport here underlines the importance of those rules and regulations. And in the next verse it says that happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. And the purport is quite interesting here. A young man and young woman meet, and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her, and have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end and after some time, it becomes just like poison. They are separated, or there's divorce, there's lamentation, there's sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of the senses and the sense object is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. So, Krishna's prescription is not to stop all the rules, not to stop eating or stop enjoyment. Dancing, devotees dance, devotees eat prasadam, and devotees they enter into marriages and then have Krishna conscious children. But everything is used in the service of Krishna, and children born from these marriages are raised in Krishna consciousness as a service to God. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami even said, if I could make all my children Krishna conscious, I would have 100 children, make them Krishna conscious. So, and all the food that we consume is offered to the Lord. So this way we have a mind, our mind is under control. It sometimes is very, like sometimes, from my experience when I cook, sometimes I'm very hungry and I'm trying to think about Krishna and play bhajans and make some chapatis or something. And it's hard to control the mind. The mind is thinking, just do it faster and then offer it faster. While you're doing chapatis, you can still offer. So, maybe we can start eating. So all these things on the mind, because the senses are not controlled or are not peaceful, and it's hard to follow all the rules. But nevertheless, you have to complete the cooking and make the offering to Krishna and pray for his blessing. So if he likes the preparation, then we're happy. And this is the type of happiness that, this true happiness that we derive from all these activities. The number one is Krishna's enjoyment is number one, and as his mercy we try the food, Krishna Prasadam. So that's part of a Krishna conscious practice, that after every Sunday program there is Prasadam, and we can eat, honor the Prasadam that was offered to the Lord before. So there's no question of stopping the action of the senses. It's just a matter of engaging them properly in the service of the Lord. Those who think that they can restrain senses completely and become one, or one with the universe, and they don't have any positive engagement, sooner or later they will end up frustrated, and they'll have to use their senses in a toxic way, overeating or eating, going for alcohol, or illicit connections with women and gambling. So you can restrain yourself for a while, but if you don't have a positive engagement, there's no way you can reach your goal or be happy long term. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I think it's chapter 2, somewhere in the 40th verse, 41, sure, that you can control your senses by experiencing that higher taste. You have to be fixed on your practice and experience the higher taste, and you can control the senses then. If there is no higher taste of chanting the holy names and serving the devotees, serving the Lord, then there's no question of sense control. Artificially, it's hard to control the senses. Chanting is very important, and is the main part of our bhakti yoga process. If you have a regular job, and some devotees are brahmacharis, all respect to them, and some devotees are grihastas, and some devotees live at the temple. But for many devotees, living outside means that they have to work a regular job, and maybe sometimes they're not surrounded by devotees, and it's very difficult for them to maintain a balanced mental state, because they come in contact with those whose mind are off balance, and they send those energies to them, and then the devotees may be affected. So such is the case with me. I work in the fitness industry, and I have many good people there, but they may not be very focused on yoga or bhakti yoga or spiritual traditions. They may not follow the rules and regulations that bhakti yogis follow. So they go through different types of turmoil. They have stresses from their jobs, from their families, and they get sick. All different types of things on their mind. So when I see them for evaluations or for training, they talk to me. We do the push-ups and all the physical stuff, but they also talk to me, and they sending me their energies, and they want my feedback, or they at least want to be heard. So sometimes when I do not complete my chanting, or it may happen that I do not do my chanting before work, which I start work at 6 or 7 a.m. So that easily throws off my mind, and I am distracted and not so happy, because I was not able to finish the chanting, and I'm overwhelmed with this material energy coming at me, and I'm not able to maintain a clear mind and happy mind, and my responses and relating to other people, even my family when I get home, is off, and everything is a problem. It's like a domino effect. Once your mind is off, whatever you respond to and whatever you see, it's already tainted by your state of mind. So for me to protect myself from feeling like that and making mistakes, I have to plan. If I start work at 7, I have to get up at 4, make sure I take the shower and start chanting and start doing the yoga, whatever I need to get me ready for the day. This way, when I go to work, I have my armor on, the spiritual armor from the mantra, from yoga, and I can properly hear those the people who come in contact with me, who may not be necessarily full-time devotees or spiritualists like we are. They come from different paths, different paths of life. So this way, I protect myself so I can help them at work, and when I get home, I'm not angry or frustrated or depressed, and my spouse comes like, "Why are you like this? You should be happy. You're coming home." And I'm like, I had a tough day at work and things like that. So And the only remedy for me is to do the morning program, like Srila Prabhupada always recommended. Always get up in the morning, do your rounds. Like there's a nice quote behind us about the morning program and following the rules. And then your activities during the day, whether they're completely spiritual and you're going on Sankirtan, going to see other people for preaching, or you're just going to a regular job like myself, you will be able to you'll be guided by the Lord, and you'll be able to help people more at their levels, and you will not become toxic yourself. You will not get off balance, which is very important. You know, we have to protect ourselves to be able to help others. If you're in a miserable state of mind, don't hope you know, that you will help others and do a good job, whatever you're doing outside. You know? So that's my personal experience there. So we should not see God, going back to one of the main points I'm trying to make, is that people should not see God as enemy to their sense enjoyment, or obstacle, maybe not enemy directly, but obstacle. I observe some people in different traditions, they just satisfy with going to church or temple once a week, and then there's not so much of the spiritual program going on during the week. It's just once a week, or maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, the holidays. There's nothing so much going on daily, like in some traditions, like our tradition. We have a daily program of prayer, meditation. Not so much in other traditions. Not every tradition, but every tradition is different, and it also depends on how seriously you take it. So when you're used to, you know, praying or meditating once a week for 1 hour, you're conditioned to doing things for yourself for 150 hours per week, and then 1 hour you're spending for God. So in this way, it's easy to think of going to church, temple, synagogue as an obstacle to your life, because you have a different compartmentalizing, you know, fragmentizing. Okay, God is on Sunday or Saturday, and then the other days of the week are for me, for my family, my job, my vacation. Everything is for me. And then I give some donation, come to the temple, synagogue, church, give $100, $10, whatever I can do, and pray for my own program. So my program goes without change, unimpeded, and I can enjoy. It is a natural tendency. We want to follow our program and then make sure God agrees with us, and he's on, you know, he's with us. Like, yes, God is on my side. You know, I'm doing my program, and I go to and pray once a week, and I give the donation. And if things are not going right, or sometimes you requested to do more, you may see that as an obstacle. Oh, now it's going to be twice a week. Oh, it's the holidays, now I have to go to temple or church 3 times. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot. And how am I going to reschedule this? And I have a plan to enjoy like that, and then now I have to spend 3 hours praying or doing some work for the church, for the synagogue, for temple. So you see the tendency, even people who are spiritualized or on the spiritual path may see God as an obstacle to their enjoyment. But God is your friend. If you do not restrain your senses, they will drive you nuts, and then they will drag you down. That's how it usually works. It always works. It just depends on how wild you are, how intense you are about being in your unhealthy habits, drinking or eating or whatever your habit is. Nice example that Srila Prabhupada gives us somewhere in the purports, in the Bhaktivedanta purport, is that, like, when kids are in a playground and they start, they're playing nicely, the parents are watching, everything is good. So once in a while they check on them, everything is good. They encourage them, but then sometimes there's some cries and unpleasant noises, and then the parents look, and the children are throwing sand in their eyes, and they're maybe beating each other. And sometimes it happens in the backyard, in my backyard, So all of a sudden they're playing and everything is nice, and then there's something bad going on. So either my wife or me, we come out, and the parents come out and they check what the situation is. So we restrain them. Listen, no more play. Or what happened? We're trying to find out what happened. What happened? And then one boy says, "Oh, he was throwing sand into my eyes." But then we find out that the reason why he was throwing sand in his eyes was because the other one was teasing him. So originally, the cause was the teasing, and then the other one got upset and throwing. So they're both at fault. So their privileges of playing freely in the background are suspended. So now they're going to do some other work that they may not enjoy and may feel like a punishment. Okay, pick up the clothes, maybe rake the leaves, do something in the backyard, something that will to take the garbage out, something that will help mom and dad. So those rules and regulations and punishments are like the parent's mercy. There's no question of the parent not loving the child or God not loving us. The God, he's the best coach. He knows best how to encourage us or teach us a lesson. Sometimes it's a gentle lesson. Sometimes it's a very harsh lesson. It may seem like a very tough lesson. Nevertheless, he's the supreme love, and he's wants us to enjoy fully in the spiritual sky one of these fine days. And in the meantime, we are in a diseased state of consciousness, especially those who completely do not follow any spiritual tradition. And then for the devotees and other spiritualists who may be very serious, we are in the process of getting healed. So while we're getting healed and we're getting the disease out of our system, then we may have some sticking points and difficulties, and sometimes not so easy. But because we're in the process of getting healed, we already feel the health coming back. We feel better than we felt, 5 years ago or a year ago. And then we know the health is coming and the process is working. We have that higher taste that we derive from the practice. And the practice is our medicine, the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's see. Can you imagine you go to your doctor because you have a headache. You have a headache and he tells you, also you have a headache. It seems like you have from what you described, it seems like you have a headache because you listen to very loud music for too long. And why don't you cut the time and lower the volume and do less of that? Let's say a truck driver. They listen to music. They're by themselves. They keep driving. They're in the seated position, and they listen to loud music and they eat bad food, and they get headaches and backaches. So many of my clients are truck drivers, right? Not many, but some. So I know their health issues. So anyway, let's say someone goes to a doctor. They're a truck driver. They have headaches because they listen to loud music in the truck, and have backaches. So the doctor tells them, okay, do these stretches 10 minutes a day and lower the volume and try to drive in a quiet atmosphere most of the day, and your headaches should subside. It should go away. But the truck driver says, no, doctor, I don't like this approach. I want to keep listening to loud music. I want to, I don't want to do the stretches. I don't have time. I want to drive more so make more money. That's my job. But I want you to give me a pill that will cure the headache, and I want to keep going with my life. So those who are, these days we have different types of doctors. There are doctors who will not ask you to change your lifestyle to prevent the cause of your problem, and they will just give you pills, and they want to please you and sell those pills. It's a big business, big business. Pharmaceutical drugs is one of the biggest industries in the world. And then there are the good doctors who will ask you to change your lifestyle. It seems like this is the cause. Change this. Maybe for now we can get this pill, but you don't want to be on this pill for the rest of your life. You want to change your lifestyle, and then your problem will go away. Just try it for a week, for a month, and see. But Many people just want to keep eating that candy every day instead of real food. And how long can you eat candy for? For an hour? How many chocolate bars can you eat? You know, you have a limit. You enjoy, and then you feel very bad in the stomach, and your body rejecting it already because you overindulged, and then you're craving real food, and you don't even know what you're craving. You're just miserable because you overindulge in candy. So we do not change our lifestyle, and we just keep going with our old habits, bad habits, unhealthy habits, whatever that may be. We end up being miserable, and we just sometimes may be asking for like a magic pill. But you know, the magic pill is get on board with an authorized process of yoga, of religious practice, spiritual practice, and restrain your senses. Moderation in eating, moderation in sleeping, moderation in recreation and work, and then worship God, chant His holy name, pray to God, you know, offer Him something, and you rest assured your life will go back into balance. You'll be happy, and it's a process. You'll be happy a little bit at first. You'll be relieved of miseries, but then later you'll be very happy, very, very happy. Is there any other point that I wanted to make here? Right, so this is the idea. God, we sometimes approach God like we approach a doctor, you know. God, I don't want this misery anymore. I want to be healthy. I want a good family, you know. I'm just curious to find out. So different types of people who approach God, and then they already have a plan in their mind. That's what they want instead. You go, I will worship you. I will do something for you, but I want this, this, and this. And even at that level of, it's a mixed emotion, mixed love, mixed attraction to God, because we have something that we want to get for our service to God. Even at that level, let's see. Even at that level, if God tells us, okay, I accept your service, please do not eat meat and do not drink alcohol. Even at that level, we have a hard time accepting those rules. Like, oh, okay, I can give you $100, but I'm not sure if I can give up that beer. You know, so this kind of thinking may be there. I'm just talking in general about any type of a practitioner, spiritual practitioner who approaches God. So we do not want that true recipe for health, prescription for health. We want something quick, effective, and we do not want to change our lifestyle, which is unhealthy to begin with. That's why we're here in a diseased condition of mind. And that's why we are very anxious sometimes. We don't want to certainly be as anxious as Kamsa, but anxiety is there. So unless we adopt this process of chanting the holy names, worshiping God, and following the rules and regulations, life will be unbearable. Sooner or later, it will become unbearable. That's why I encourage other people who may not be bhakti yogis, and encourage ourselves if we have a difficult time following all the rules and regulations, encourage ourselves to stay strong and follow the healing process that Srila Prabhupada introduced to the Western world. That is His mercy. Look what Srila Prabhupada has done. And we should be inspired by him. We should stand by our high standards and be good doctors of the body, mind, and soul. We should not be discouraged by difficult times. We should represent Lord Krishna truthfully and never be ashamed of our tradition, whatever the initial perception of it may be by the people. Srila Prabhupada has done so much despite all the difficulties in Kali Yuga. So be inspired and we pray for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. If you have any questions or comments, please, and feedback, I appreciate your attention today. Thank you. Super Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Arjunacharyahprabhu. Just thinking about the subject matter, that you brought up in terms of the importance of regulation and controlling of the senses, and the subject matter of anxiety too, that we see that demons in history, especially Bhagavatam history, we have powerful demons that have quite amazing control of the senses and regulation.
Wow, yes.
And they were not free from anxiety. We have the example of Hiranyakashipu,
Right.
which was able to, for 1,000 celestial years,
Unbelievable.
being able to fully control, everything. Powerful. And the purpose was his anxiety of, not being immortal and invincible. And so this, although important, as Krishna mentioned, what you read there, that you can't be a yogi if you don't have this type of regulation and this type of lifestyle, is not sufficient for becoming free from anxiety, and is quite beautiful. I find in this verse and actually this whole part of Krishna entering the arena and the description of his chivalrous, that his heroic, superhero type of mood. And right here they describe both Krishna and Balaram as invincible.
Yeah.
And use a picture of them entering the arena with the tusk of this gigantic elephant,
It's a beautiful picture.
8,800 pound elephant.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes talk about it,
That's amazing.
The 1,000-pound gorilla or whatever like that. Well, it's a huge beast. And there is Krishna and Balaram entering, as super invincible heroes, with the beautiful description of how they look like. So beautiful and so attractive and so powerful that used to be under the protection of someone like Krishna, you're free from anxiety.
Right.
The cowherd boys were entering the arena, were behind Krishna, and seeing Krishna killing this elephant. I mean, they have seen Krishna killing all kinds of powerful demons. So they were completely free from anxiety. And they, behind Krishna, entering the arena with all these arrangements, to kill Krishna, and they're completely free from anxiety. And then on the other hand, you see Kamsa, the powerful controller of all these powerful demons who have achieved, all kinds of mystic powers by regulation and control of the senses. He was full of anxiety.
My gosh, it's a great point.
So it's a very fantastic lesson, in the purport, I think, of some of the acharyas that were read during this, narrate part of the pastime. They say that just by meditating, just by hearing Krishna's powerful activities and meditating in the words, that image of Krishna becomes planted in our heart and becomes settled in our heart. And then when Krishna is settled in the heart, we become, actually free from that type of anxiety, because what a powerful protector Krishna is. He's the best of all, he's invincible. So that whole mood, help us actually become free from anxiety.
Wow. These are beautiful points, Prabhu. I mean, these are very important points. Wow. Well, it's the question of faith and surrender, and then it's everything is a different. You have a different mind frame. You have like a little TV in your heart, like Prabhupada said. You see Krishna there, and then no anxiety. You see Krishna 24 hours a day. Why should you be worried? You can have anxiety about Krishna, but not about other things. Huh. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your comments. It's great. Any other feedback or comments? Anything? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure.
I think maybe if I can add, but just a thought, but to remember that power of Krishna and magnanimity when somehow, what do you say, the body we have that we may have some problem, we may have disease, we may have apparently some problem, and in that state to remain in that consciousness, then I feel that's when you sit down for your exam now, like it's kind of the test. I don't know if you want to comment, Prabhu, but yeah, what's going to be our mood toward Krishna when these substantial problems come, Like you said, Prabhuji, in your class, like, are we going to see him as our enemy, our adversary, someone?
Right.
So either, okay, Krishna doesn't have my back, or is he doing this to me? Or and then why? And I just want to raise this point, But because you said very nicely, Prabhu, the thought of Krishna alleviates fear. I guess I'm just raising a point of discussion, but it might be harder at some time than at others.
Yes. Yeah, Prabhu, that's a very good point. I mean, it's a question of faith and surrender, how you see things that are happening to you and in the world. I mean, if we have a very stable faith, then you never see Krishna as an enemy. I mean, you don't get angry at Krishna, like, why is this happening? Oh my gosh, I thought, I'm doing 16 rounds and this, and and now this is happening. So, yeah, if your faith is not fixed, then you may need some more support from other practitioners who are more fixed, more advanced. You should. You don't want to drift away from the practice and from the movement and lose faith, or like temporarily lose faith. Yeah, that's a very good point. What is your good name? Oh, they're all beautiful points. You should be giving lectures now. I'm just here by your mercy. That's all.
Lord Brahma gave us instruction on how to, deal with this type of, obstacles and things that comes towards you. Tattenu kampan shushushik mamana. We have to, with faith, and we have to accept whatever comes to us by, our actions, and accept it gratefully and be fixed in the practice of remembering, hearing, with words, with mind, with actions, being dedicated to hear the narrations of Krishna and wait for Krishna to bestow his mercy upon us. When it will come, we wait patiently for that. And just by that, then Krishna's mercy becomes your rightful, it becomes, you have the right to receive Krishna's mercy. That's what Lord Brahma said. So It's a nice meditation for all of us to always see that, whatever we're going through is perfectly controlled by Krishna for the purpose of helping us come closer. And we just wait, like that.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhu, for speaking so clearly, eloquently. You made a lot of good points.
I'm not sure. Thank you.
In the beginning, you said we are suffering because of our misdeeds. That's a good punch.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. You're all suffering. That's why we are in this material world. So many points are there. You give then on your work, and then you give quotes from the Bhagavad Gita. Right. It was nice. Regarding anxiety, Prabhu was mentioning troubles, but it's really very surprising. He had experience in Sankirtan, the bus was all topsy-turvy, the books was on him, but still he's going on with his sadhana. It's very incredible. Really appreciate his determination. Mm-hmm. In Sankirtan, always Mahaprabhu's protection is there. Many things. Every day is a new adventure. So I would like to speak on anxiety. Srila Prabhupada, one of his disciples, when we are distributing books, devotee saying, Srila Prabhupada, and we see we are not doing good and we are in anxiety. That is also spiritual. So Prabhupada says, that is for selling books, anxiety is Krishna. Anxiety, Krishna anxiety. So if you become very anxious how to sell more books, that is Krishna's anxiety. That is not trade anxiety, that is Krishna's anxiety. So some people say that when I go on Sankirtan to sell books, I become too much anxiety if I am not doing well. So I am rather not to do it. So devotee is saying, rather not do it. Some people say they become more anxiety. So yes, no, that is Krishna anxiety. He does not know. Let him know that is Krishna anxiety. Mother Yashoda became mother of Krishna, so that should always remain in anxiety for Krishna. Whether Krishna is safe, that is mother's anxiety. Therefore, she becomes mother. How to become to Krishna anxiety? This philosophy, nobody knows. Everyone takes Krishna as the father. Father means anxiety. Less.
Yeah.
That you supply any wants. And to become father of Krishna means to purchase anxiety for Krishna. This philosophy, they do not know. Yeah, to maintain a temple also is anxiety. Many things. Even to you go on Sankirtan, you lead the bus is anxiety, but it's for Krishna's anxiety. That's good. Yeah. So example of Prabhupada gives of Mother Yashoda.
And anxiety is not that bad. Anxiety for Krishna is great. As long as we have this anxiety, I guess we're okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Arjunacharyah, you were painting a whole picture. These days I'm seeing these kind of images through the classes. So the picture you're painting is of persons struggling with their bodies and their senses. And, you're advising them to practice regulation.
Right.
So there's the thought came that one anxiety that's not faced at all is the mortality issue. And that really is should be at the back of everybody's mind that there's mortality. I mean, the body is not immortal.
Right.
So there must be a contributing factor to some awareness that there's mortality. So I was just thinking that because Kamsa's main anxiety was that his life would be ending, at least in the body he was occupying.
Right.
So that's why that great anxiety over seeing Krishna and Balaram looking invincible. Yeah, so, I was just thinking about it, how most persons have it in the back of the mind, but it's not brought to the foreground, and hence spurring further action to consider what would be the course of action that would be relieving that particular anxiety.
Yes.
So I was just thinking about it.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah. Thank you. You want me to respond or you just a comment? Right? Just comment. I appreciate it. It's very true. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.